thought about this because Ryan's son just adopted a dog who's a couple years old, and he changed her name. And I thought, is that going to mess her up? But she's been fine.
So far, so good.
So what was the name before, and what is it now?
It's Bella now. I forget what it was before.
Perla.
Perla.
Oh, Perla.
You've got a mind like a trap.
That's fun.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning live on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and also on YouTube. Good to see you today. We appreciate you joining us. We have a lot to get to in this next hour. I want to let you know a little bit about what we have ahead of us here before we jump right in to this news conference going on in Hillsborough County. We're going to talk a little bit about a new Smyrna Beach and city leaders there approving a controversial rezoning plan. Got a lot of pushback from residents at a meeting last night. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. A 2-year-old in the hospital here in Orlando after being shot in Cocoa, caught in the crossfire. Investigators in Brevard County now looking for several suspects still in that case. Governor Ron DeSantis and the First Lady are in Brandon, Florida. That's in Hillsborough County right now. That's what you're seeing a live look at. They are at Arise Church in Brandon, talking about Hope Florida, holding a roundtable there where we're hearing from several people. This is a Hope Florida navigator, Jasmine Johnson. You see, we've also heard from a leader of a faith-based organization. As I mentioned, the governor, the First Lady, part of this roundtable, as well as they continue to talk about Hope Florida, which helps people in need, helps connect them with the resources with faith-based organizations, get them off of government assistance and that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and listen into this for a few minutes as we take this news conference live, or this roundtable discussion, I should say, live from Brandon, Florida.
But now that I work for them, I'm able to connect those young adults to those services. But if I had that, it would be a great safeguard for me, and I'm glad that it's a safeguard for the young adults after me. So thank you, First Lady, for your vision and ensuring navigators like me can be there for Florida's youth when they need it the most. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have led on a lot of issues. I mean, there's been some stuff about what we've done on illegal immigration, leading the country to help the federal government there. But one of the things that we've done is looked at Washington and you see what goes on, particularly with the Congress, and the results are, habitually poor, certainly over the last couple decades. And so it's my judgment that you're not going to get radically different results just by electing a few more good people, that the incentive structure there is so skewed that it's just not going to produce the type of results that I think we all want to see. And so two of the things that the legislature in Florida has certified for constitutional reforms, constitutional amendments, are a balanced budget requirement for the federal government and term limits for members of Congress. And so I've been active. I was just meeting with the Ohio legislature yesterday. They're on the cusp of doing the term limits. They have done the balanced budget amendment. We've also met, I've met with people from Montana, Idaho, you name it, about balanced budget. And so we have the ability as states to propose these amendments, just like Congress can propose amendments. Either way, 3/4 of the states have to ratify any amendment, so the ratification is the same regardless. But I think our founding fathers knew you had to empower the states to offer changes, because when the changes affect what's going on in the nation's capital, those Congress folks may not want to do the things that need to be done. So I know that they've tried to do a balanced budget amendment through Congress in the past. Came up one vote short in the late 90s. Just imagine if that had passed 25, 26 years ago, our country's trajectory would be totally different perhaps. They definitely want nothing to do with term limits, I know that. But it's also something that most people want to see. So you're now, I think, 27, 28, 29 states have done the balanced budget. You need 34 to allow the states to write one and propose one for ratification. And then the term limits has just started within the last really few years in earnest, and this has been something I've been involved with in a long time. So there's already 12 states just in a few years. I think you're going to see a few more relatively quickly, and as that builds support and it gets more traction, there's going to be a lot of people in the public that are going to want to see that. So sometimes we're proud of what we've done in Florida. We think we've shown a model to have good results and good governance, but I think a lot of people are frustrated, particularly with Congress. It's just been very difficult in that institution in recent years. Well, we do have the ability to do something about it. And you don't just have to sit there and throw something at the TV. You can do something. And so I'm using whatever role I have to be able to help that process go forward. But I really believe, if you could do term limits for Congress, a balanced budget requirement for feds, and then I would say the president should have line item veto authority like I do as governor. They do these massive omnibus bills. The president's got to either sign it or veto it. If you could go and line item out pork, that'd be a huge positive thing. So those would be the three that I think would just change the incentives. And if the incentives are better, then I think the behavior and the results would likely improve. As it is now, the incentive structure is to kind of keep doing what they've been doing, over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And by and large, it's not been terribly successful. So I'm proud that Florida has led on those issues. I know there's a lot of support across the country for both of those. And I think we've got to just continue to really press forward on it. So we'll do whatever we can in Florida to help that. And man, if we could get that done, I think that would be a huge positive for the United States. Okay, do we have any questions? I didn't see it. No, I'm not going to go sit in front of a committee. That's not the role of the chief executive. We have been talking about property taxes for many months. In fact, last year we were talking about how people's property taxes were going up because of the values. I've talked about getting relief now. I've made series of proposals. We also want to get something on the ballot. It doesn't take a committee hearing to do that. It just requires leadership. And so we want to see that out of the legislature. And it's interesting because, remember when I called the special session for immigration, the response was, oh, we in the House legislate, the governor doesn't legislate, right? And so they didn't want to do it. Now they're saying, well, it's the governor's responsibility to tell us what you can pick one, right? It's got to be one or the other. So, look, I hope that I'm skeptical, and I've told people I'm skeptical publicly. when everyone's been clamoring for property tax relief. That's the, I mean, if you talk to Floridians, it's like 90% will talk about property tax. Now, if you tell them, hey, do you want to get something on some other, I mean, they'll say fine, but like no one is like organically clamoring to do 1/4 of a penny sales tax that honestly benefits the tourists and stuff, which we shouldn't be doing. I want more tax burden to be on the tourists and the snowbirds and less on Floridians. I think that's the best, and we're the unique state to be able to make that happen because we have so many visitors and we're the place to be. So you do, but people have been really, really interested in property tax relief, and I think most people know, because they've heard me say this many times, the property taxes are leveled locally. The state does direct some, but it's a relatively modest. I think we can still do a rebate for people this year and get the rebate in their hands. You know, some people in the legislature said giving people a rebate on their property tax is like a Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom welfare handout. Are you kidding me? These are taxpayers that are paying taxes, you know, on their property taxes. So I didn't agree with that at all, and I don't think most people did. But ultimately, because the power constitutionally for property taxation is vested in local governments, we need to do a ballot measure to be able to provide you with constitutional protection to own your own home. And I'm just very, very supportive of that. I hope that the House will pledge to put something strong up to be on the ballot. I think the Senate has said they want to do it. I know Senator Collins is helping lead that. We've got a number of senators, whether it's Senator Martin, Ingoglia, Senator Collins, that have really worked hard, and we want to get this done. And it's not easy to get 60% in a referendum, you know, as we've seen. But I think it's something that is worthwhile and that needs to be done. So we've been talking about this ad nauseum. I think the issue is you know, my proposals about property tax relief now were basically rejected by one of the chambers. And so I think that was a mistake. I don't think that it's over. I think, you know, they haven't done a budget yet. They haven't done any tax yet, even though the session ended a week or two ago. So I think you may be able to still land the plane, but you ask people, what do they want relief on? They want relief on property taxes. We have the unique situation in Florida to do something really, really bold, given that we have 142 million visitors a year and all these snowbirds, that we can do it in a way that'll be meaningful for Floridians, but also, you know, is not going to be, you know, I don't think insurmountable to be able to continue to do the basic services that everybody wants. So that's the goal.
Sure, for sure. Well, I think, first of all, the focus should be on actually passing a budget, right? I think that's really important. That's what I think a lot of people signed up to do by a certain time. I would say I understand why, when I travel around the state and I meet with a lot of people, why they're very concerned when this guy, the GOAT, is no longer in office. I get it. I mean, tell you what, he laid it out at the top. I mean, just going over our economic numbers, paying down 41% of our outstanding debt. We have the largest net in migration. We have more new business formation than any other state in the United States of America. I mean, people are moving here because they love Florida, and they love this guy. They love what he's done for parents and standing up for parental rights and education, for making education #1 across the state, whether it's K through 12 or whether it's higher education. They appreciate what this guy has done when it comes to our environment. I mean, paying billions of dollars to invest in water quality, to restore our Everglades, to leave the state of Florida better to God than we found it. And so you also look at public safety, 50-year crime low. People know when they move to the state of Florida, and again, he's not inviting people to move to the state of Florida, but they are coming, that they know that their families are going to be safe, and that they're going to be protected, and he's going to do everything he can to back the blue and to make sure that we're, you know, giving bonuses to people who are putting their lives on the line. So I get why this is a big conversation, but I will also say it's more than a year away from qualifying. I mean, I think we need to be thinking about what the people put people into office to do, to try to make sure that they're delivering on the promises that they told the people they were going to do when they first got elected. So I think there's a lot of time to think about it, but I definitely understand why people want to see the goat, someone who stands up like the goat. And I didn't even mention this, too. So you think about all of the accomplishments that the governor has done, right? And it's unparalleled across the United States of America. I mean, he's the best for a reason. But I'll tell you one thing that I've had the privilege to watch from behind the scenes is that guy has a backbone of steel. You can say all of these things, right? You can go out and you can have your talking points, but if you do not have the courage of your convictions to stand up and fight for them like he did during COVID, I mean, the entire world descended upon this guy. And I watched from behind the scenes. He was like a steely-eyed missile man every day of the week fighting for you to keep the state open, to get our kids in school, to make sure that you weren't smothered by a mask or had a mandate to take a COVID mRNA jab contingent upon you keeping your job. But I saw him every day of the week fight like hell for this state. And I think whoever he ultimately decides that should be following after him should be somebody that I think, and, you know, obviously up to the people of the state of Florida, but I think it should be somebody in the mold of a DeSantis who's willing to get out there and fight.
And also, you know, and as we were doing the fights with COVID, I mean, it was publications, quite frankly, like the Miami Herald that was concocting hoaxes. I mean, they accused our Department of Health of fabricating COVID data. That was a lie. That was a hoax. That was made up. That was fiction. And that was put out there for many, many weeks and months with zero supporting evidence for it, just simply to try to discredit the fact that we have the state open and free. And so I'd be very skeptical of discredited outlets in terms of what they're doing, because you remember that hoax. You remember the book ban hoax. Oh, Florida's banning book. What book has been banned? Well, no, but you know this. Okay, so you're removing a pornographic book from 3rd grade? That's not banning the book. That's just common sense. So that was a hoax. Don't Say Gay was a hoax. You know, the whole, when you were talking about Disney, I thought he was going to say thanks for standing up against the insanity a few years ago. But I mean, it was a hoax, right? It was a total fabrication. And so these are things that they just kind of run with some of the legacy outlets. But it's like, man, it's just constant, and that's just what they do. So I just think it's important to remember all that, because people look back and say, thank God our kids were in school during COVID. Thank God our businesses were open. Thank God all this happened. But you know, the people that were fighting tooth and nail against that were all these organs of the left, some of these legacy media publications, obviously the teacher union suing me to try to force the closure of schools. We shouldn't forget that. You should never forget who was on your side and who was fighting for the bad guys. And they were fighting for the bad guys. That's just a fact.
Governor DeSantis answering questions after this Hope Florida Roundtable in Brandon, Florida. The First Lady just moments ago was asked about potentially a run for governor. The governor himself was talking about property taxes and asked whether he would speak in front of the House Select Committee on property taxes. We're going to go ahead and take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back after this. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Governor Ron DeSantis still speaking now, was asked a question about a settlement with ACA. Let's go ahead. The administration for the Healthcare Administration organization, AHCA, ACA. Let's go ahead and listen in as he continues to speak and take more questions.
Karen Gonzalez Pittman took propaganda that was done by far left Democrats. She rebranded it and was passing it out. That is a fraud. That is a hoax. And when she's doing this stuff, she is basically adopting left-wing conspiracy theories. Just to try to damage Hope Florida, to try to hit me obliquely, to try to hit our Attorney General, to try to hit the First Lady. I think Karen Gonzalez Pittman has done a poor job as the representative from South Tampa. Jackie Toledo got a lot done when she was in there, and I know there are many other people who were interested in running for that and who did run for it and came very close, and I know there's others that are going to be looking to do it before, but I think what she was doing was highly irresponsible, and I think it's unfortunate, but ultimately people reveal their true colors, right? I mean, when you have this and you look at it and you see that's not what you campaigned on, but if you're going to do that. So I know there's a lot of people that have been very disappointed in her for her conduct, and they should be. So I think that the president's first-term policy towards the Middle East was the most successful that we've seen. I think it was very clear-eyed about the threats from the Middle East, whether it was Iran, and in fact, I think he acknowledged and was very clear about past behavior for Qatar. And I think Qatar, they play a double game. They are involved in funding some very, very dangerous causes. I know they've been involved in terrorism. They spend a lot of money in the United States. I mean, billions and billions of dollars flowing through our universities. And I don't think, now we've cracked down on that in Florida. We did our foreign influence where that's much more difficult to do, if not impossible, in Florida now. But I think the foreign influence on universities is a really big problem. And so I just hope that that is the policy that emerges. I think this trip will tell. I haven't been able to follow everything that's going on, but we know Iran is the biggest problem in the region. We know Israel is our strongest ally in the region. We know the Abraham Accords helped shift more and more countries towards the U.S. and Israel's position and against Iran. And I think that that's what you need to build off of. I would not advise doing any type of quote, deal with Iran that allows them to get a nuclear weapon. I think Barack Obama tried that, it failed. I think that Joe Biden tried it, it failed. So be very clear-eyed. He did a great job in the first term, and I think that if he can just simply replicate that going forward, I think that would be a big success for the country. But I do think Qatar's influence, they have spent a lot of money in this country, and I think that that's something that people should take notice of. Okay, guys, thanks so much.
Governor Ron DeSantis and the First Lady wrapping up their roundtable, speaking with reporters, answering some questions about a number of topics there. Most notably in the last few minutes, talking about property taxes and also a potential run for governor by the First Lady. We want to talk now about a story in Brevard County, a tragic story where a 2-year-old was shot after being caught in the crossfire when there was a gunfight that broke out in the middle of Tuesday afternoon. This happened in front of a neighborhood grocery store in Cocoa. A 2-year-old again was injured in this after being shot, now being treated at Orlando Health Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children here in our area. And the Brevard County Sheriff is asking for help tracking down these shooting suspects. Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie has the latest information.
Yesterday, we were told that the 2-year-old little girl was doing okay after that emergency surgery. She was struck by a bullet in her pelvic region. We're told by officials that that little girl was inside a stroller at the time when the gunfight broke out. Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey tells us that a woman was pushing the stroller and actually left the toddler behind to run away. She then came back after the shooting had stopped. The sheriff says the little girl was rushed to the hospital for surgery and is expected to survive.
These individuals don't care about anything. They're evil, and they're not only putting that toddler at risk. There were other people around. You know, you're talking about 1:30. You've got people driving all by, broad open daylight. So this is just a bunch of individuals acting stupid and doing very stupid things.
According to Ivey, he says 3 suspects jumped out of a black Mercedes and began firing at a man who was with the woman and child. He says his deputies don't yet know who fired first. In a matter of minutes, more than 50 rounds were fired. Ivey says the man with the little girl is being interviewed by detectives, but the 3 other suspects from the Mercedes are still on the run. These pictures from the store's surveillance cameras show the 3 men deputies are searching for. Investigators say they believe there was some type of feud between the men and are working to identify the 3 suspects. The Brevard County Sheriff's Office is asking that if you recognize these 3 men, to contact them immediately. As for that 2-year-old little girl, we are working to get an update on her condition for today.
And Fox 35 is continuing to follow up on this story. Hope to have some new details in just a little bit for you. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Jessica Dobson joins me now. And Jess, we are gearing up for a Florida heat wave.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're going to be expecting temperatures to reach the mid-90s. Not completely unheard of this time of year, but it's still going to be hot and just in time for the weekend. There's lots of events happening this weekend, so I'll talk more on those in a moment. But in terms of our forecast here throughout the next 12 hours, we're going to be seeing temperatures go from the low 80s this morning to the upper 80s for this afternoon, which is right on par with what we would normally see for this time of year. So 88 degrees will be our high today in Orlando specifically, but most of us will be in the mid to upper 80s. So that's going to be a very make for a quintessential Florida-like day for us here. But we're going to be expecting a high of 88 not only in Orlando, but also St. Cloud into Palm Coast, 86 in Daytona Beach, 85 in New Smyrna. So really pleasant today if you have any sort of outdoor plans. pleasant in comparison, I guess you could say, compared to what we're going to be seeing towards the end of this weekend, especially this weekend. But here's a live view of Daytona Beach. Here's a view where you can see, honestly, some surfers have been out since early this morning. So some cool shots there. 1 to 3 foot wave heights. We're looking at water temperatures around 76 degrees. We do have a moderate risk of rip currents, so if you're going to be hitting the beaches, something to keep in mind. But otherwise, we're going to be just only heating up from here. We're talking temperatures that are going to be approaching the mid-90s, and really that's our next big story, is the fact that we're going to see this large area of high pressure build in, and that is what's going to be helping to bring with it those increasing temperatures. So Mother Nature really going to crank up the heat for us, so the thermometer is going to be on the increase. High pressure will build in across the Gulf, and that is going to help to usher in winds from the south and west. And this time of year, that means hot temperatures across parts of Texas. They're talking triple-digit high temperatures today, so luckily it won't be quite that hot. We'll be approaching the upper 90s, but it looks unlikely at this point that we'll quite reach that mark. I will say as well, like looking ahead towards late May, that's when we're going to be expecting the next round of rain and potentially for this heat wave to finally come to an end. But gosh, that's going to be middle to late parts of next week that we start to talk about that. So we've got a little bit of a stretch to go before we really start to see relief from the heat. So plan accordingly now in terms of your weekend. If you're going to be heading outside, make sure you've got plenty of water ready to go. The sunscreen as well, because not only does high pressure keep us hot, it also keeps us pretty dry here across much of the area. So welcome to Rockville. That does start tomorrow. So as we get you into the start of the weekend, temperatures will continue to climb. 89 are high for Friday, 91 for Saturday. And this is in Daytona Beach, so it's going to be pretty hot out there by this weekend, even though you're going to be pretty close to the water. I know sometimes the sand can get pretty hot too, so just keep that in mind. Just make sure you are planning accordingly. I know with the years past, we've had a lot of rain, a lot of wet and stormy weather, so at least we're going to be dry, but just don't want anyone to get caught up in dangerously hot conditions, especially with a large crowd. Sometimes that can be a little scary, but otherwise, if it's going to be close to sunset, any sort of performances or acts going on, that's going to fare a lot better in terms of temperature. So I mean, this is a pretty cut and dry forecast, no pun intended. We're looking at temperatures in the upper 80s today, 88 degrees. It's going to be kind of our last more comfortable day before we start to really heat things up here as we head into the weekend. And it looks like 95 Saturday in Orlando, 96 for Sunday, before 97 Monday and Tuesday do make a return. So I think this is technically the hottest temperatures of 2025 so far. Probably not the hottest we'll see of the entire year, but time will tell. And again, this is not terribly uncommon for us to see this time of year, but at this point, it looks like rainy season won't start until early June at this point. So we'll keep you posted on that, but buckle up. It's going to be turning hot, Garrett.
Cut and dry forecast, and also a hot and dry forecast in that 7 day. I'll tell you what, those folks who are going to be out at Rockville, hydrate. You're going to have to.
Yes, I mean, I know there's lots of fun drinks usually at concerts, so just make sure you're sneaking some waters in there along the way too, some cold water. So make sure, yes, hydration is going to be key because, in fact, with hydration, a real quick key point about hydration, once you're thirsty, at that point, you're already becoming dehydrated. So it's really important to kind of get a head start whenever you're drinking that water. So have fun, of course, but also stay cool.
Right, that is important to keep in mind. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Jessica Dobson, we appreciate you joining us. And here's a live look at Daytona Beach right now from our Hard Rock Hotel camera. We know a lot of folks may be wanting to go out and cool off along the beach as the weather kind of heats up. But one thing you do need to be aware of, Jessica mentioned it a few minutes ago, is the possibility for some rip currents. And Fox 35's Marley Capper has more on what makes those so dangerous.
Good morning. The flags here in Volusia County are red right now. That means the water is hazardous. And this past weekend is a really good example of how dangerous the water can be and why it's so important for swimmers to understand the power of these waves. Just this weekend in Jacksonville, a former Navy SEAL was fishing when he heard people screaming. It was a little boy and girl snatched from their group and taken by the water. He then jumped in to save them.
He was hovering around his sister, which was the one that was named face down. I calmly yelled at him and said, "I need you to swim towards me." And as soon as he got to me, he grasped his arms around my neck and I was able to turn his sister over and put her in a cross chest carry, and we side stroked back to the shore.
And in the Indian River over the weekend, a Sebastian River High School student days away from graduating drowned in high currents. Volusia County Beach Safety says that when most people come out to the beach, they actually underestimate the power of the water, even if they're good swimmers. So it's really important to, one, make sure that you're looking at the warnings, and two, if you do get stuck in a rip current, make sure that you are swimming parallel to the shoreline. Don't try to cut across. Remember that rip currents won't pull you under, but they'll pull you out. Reporting in Volusia County, Marley Capper, Fox 35 News.
And certainly important to keep in mind if you are heading out to our beaches. Well, we're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning, live on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and also on YouTube. Florida continues its crackdown on illegal immigration. We know officials have arrested dozens of undocumented immigrants at a local construction site in recent days. And this also comes at the same time that we're learning details about two undocumented immigrants in Volusia County who are accused of kidnapping two girls. As Fox 35's Morgan Parrish reports, those girls were found hundreds of miles away from home.
This all started in North Carolina when those two girls went missing. So now both men are facing kidnapping charges and they're on ICE's radar because they're undocumented. So 22-year-old Edwin Cardenas and 18-year-old Erickson Uyo Flores, they're both sitting in the Volusia County Jail. Police say the teens left a note saying that they were leaving with some guys that they met. Investigators ended up tracking the girls down to Daytona Beach. That's where they found them with Cardenas and Uyo Flores in a home right off of Center Street. Now, jail records show both suspects have an immigration hold by ICE. And as you mentioned, ICE continues to detain immigrants here in Central Florida. If you take a look at this video right out of Sumter County, you can see ICE agents walking towards what appears to be an unfinished home in a Wildwood neighborhood under construction. And the bus comes right after Homeland Security confirmed that it would be investigating construction companies in Florida. Now, we spoke with an immigration attorney who says that raids like these are pretty common.
If anybody has family members who are not U.S. citizens or not green card holders, it's really critical if you know their alien number. It's going to be the fastest way to find somebody. Otherwise, you're going to need to know their name, their full name and their dates of birth. But again, it can take several days for them to show up in any system.
And as far as both men arrested in Daytona Beach, they're being held with no bond, and Florida will likely send them back to North Carolina before ICE takes custody. So, of course, we're going to continue following these immigration raids, but for now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
This development is part of a larger plan.
Sorry about that. I take one day off and I forget how to press all these buttons. So New Smyrna Beach, elsewhere in Volusia County, New Smyrna Beach, the city, has approved a controversial plan to rezone 1,000 acres, a little over 1,000 acres of land. This is located at the southwest corner of I-95 and State Road 44. It's currently zoned for agriculture and conservation, but there is a project plan that includes 2,000 residential units, plus a regional sports complex. There was a meeting last night where the city of New Smyrna Beach discussed this, ended up approving it, but a number of residents spoke during this meeting to give their input on what they think about that proposed development.
This development is part of a larger plan, not a local plan, as would be fair enough. It's not about our backyards. As Senate Bill 180 demonstrated, this is about a plot by an extremist group and an oligarchy across the entire state. DeSantis will pass SB 180. He instigated it, he planned it, that's why it passed. His goal, under the guise of so-called conservatism, is to turn the state into his personal empire, taking as much money from businesses and any other bodies as he can. This is not conservatism, it is the textbook definition of economic fascism. Chicago fascism. As a city, you can end this abhorrence by voting against every new development, even if you can't have a moratorium. There must be a moratorium in practice, even if it can't be placed into de jure law. You, all of you here, have the power to create change through the power you hold. You hold the power to do that. You have the right to exercise it. Don't be cowardice. Use this to stop the extremism that's being imposed by a compromised and corrupted state government in Tallahassee. And let it stand for all the record here that all of us who've come tonight to stand here in the name of democracy and opposition to the oligarchy in the state, and maybe even some local levels, to expand these business interests, which are not popular with the residents. Out here, we have signs everywhere. Let's go, I'll say it for the record, there's a hall here that's full of people, actually there's news cameras as well recording this, full of people all holding up signs about, I would think about 90%, maybe more, are opposed to this. We are not the ruled, neither are any of us in here the rulers. You're elected by us for a reason. These are the people that you represent, so you have an obligation, a moral and ethical obligation, to oppose this development for those reasons. Thank you.
I'm here to express my wholehearted endorsement of this critically important project for our community. I want to commend the leaders and visionaries of Southeast Volusia that came together over 4 years ago to identify and begin the process for the beautiful future of our city and our region. I want to commend the property owners and the team they have formed to continue their 100-year-old investment in our community with a commitment to build a legacy of excellence for the next 100 years and beyond. I want to thank our commission, city staff, and the project team for the exemplary engagement across our community to listen to concerns and suggestions and establishing responses in writing in this PUD with commitments addressing each point. While there are some here that express fear and uncertainty about some aspects of this project, I want to assure them that thousands of person-hours have been invested to address these points. Before you is a master plan proposal that not only incorporates best practices from around the state, but around the country and the world. Deering Park is poised to become a model for dealing with a growing community with low-impact development and smart growth. It provides a world-class framework for capital investment, amenities, high-quality jobs, and housing in a positive way like we've never seen before. And importantly, it's being done in a way that reduces our vulnerability and improves our resilience in the event of major storms. It puts our city and our region on a trajectory to preserve and improve our quality of life while laying the groundwork for flourishing economic growth and a thriving and vibrant community for our citizens and generations to come. We thank you for this and for all you are doing for our community.
I'm here because I'm heartbroken over the deep disappointment by this proposal, irresponsible and unwanted growth, and it's my responsibility to express my plea in saving what makes New Smyrna Beach special. It being the fastest growing state is not a flex. I was born at Halifax Hospital. I graduated from the IB program at Spruce Creek High School, and I attended the University of Florida. My family still resides in the area, and my parents have been here since the 60s, and I say this to establish my homegrown roots that fuel my deep love for this area that has been degraded by development. If you look around the room and outside the windows, it's filled with young people. We're not the ones in suits or wearing fancy designer brands. We're the actual people who are affected by this. At the end of the day, we are the future of this city. We care so much about what happens with this vote, and we will remember the result of this day forever. I'd like to begin with the reminder that this developer bought the property knowing it was zoned agricultural. They're asking the city to change the land use plan that the city had put in place. They're asking that the city permit them to change the use of the property in a way that that absolutely no one had asked for, and that will change the character of our community in a profound and extremely detrimental way. It's a paycheck for them, and it's a huge, huge blow for us. With that being said, I'm embarrassed as a local that we even have to deal with this. It doesn't make any sense. I heard in the initial presentation that conservation is being considered. Isn't that like burning a house down and saying the furniture is being considered? Ponds are being built for stormwater. Doesn't nature already do that? And who in the history of the universe has ever asked for a welcome center? Our town has been distorted enough. Every block has an out-of-place box mansion that makes New Smyrna look more and more like Miami by the minute. At this rate, what will we have left? Why are we allowing our town to turn into just another sad suburb of Orlando? If you care about tourism, I can promise you no one wants to escape to another sad suburb of Orlando. I know you can't answer questions, and I'm not asking you questions. I just like for you to reflect on these thoughts within yourselves and those in the room. What local have you known personally is favoring this project? What does the environment mean to you? Will this be your legacy for the city, and how? What would your younger self think of you right now in this moment, in this decision, and would they be proud? Thank you.
Thank you. To be included in the largest regional development in Volusia County's history is noteworthy. Deering Park is a significant opportunity for the city of New Smyrna Beach. No one has ever planned like this before. We're talking about the tip of the iceberg here in New Smyrna. This starts at the Brevard County line, goes all the way up to State Road 44. And my only wish is that they'd take the UC Commission and go all the way up to Pioneer Trail. Let's get real regional planning going here. That's how we're going to solve our problems with stormwater. If you do piecemeal development, you're going to have exactly the problems you have now, which is flooding and different issues. This is a master plan. This is really put together. I think this is a significant opportunity for you, just from a planning point of view. We've already discussed the opportunity. We do not have enough commercial space in our city. The fact that we can improve the tax base by getting commercial space that could actually produce jobs for people, young people that live in this community, I think it's like amazing. And the fact that the commercial comes first, that's the more important part. And the other thing is, it'd be nice if we could just stop growth and tell everybody to go away. But this is the state of Florida. We're the fastest growing state, and they're going to come here, and we're going to have to deal with it. I mean, that's just the reality.
We heard residents speaking during that public comment period last night in favor of it and against it, but quite a bit of debate ahead of that approval from the New Smyrna Beach leaders to approve the rezoning of that 1,000+ acres. We're going to step aside and take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be back in 2 minutes.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning live on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and also on YouTube. NFL rookie minicamp is underway, and some obviously an important point, important practicing for NFL draftees, for undrafted players, for rookie players, however they may be. And so we want to hear from some of the coaching staff with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who held a press conference at rookie minicamp talking about some of the impact and what they are seeing, what they want to see from their players.
Help communicate with the players, make sure the understanding is good. But our coaches have done a great job so far this offseason of keeping guys together, hearing the same communication, everybody on the same page. So that's the big thing that we're trying to get accomplished.
Coach Bowles has talked about you playing a central role as he, during practice, will maybe spend more time on the offensive side, helping Josh Grizzard. Can you just speak to your level of experience and how you and Coach Foote and the others can kind of hold down the fort on the defensive side while that happens?
Well, I think like anything else, it requires everybody, being on the same page, everybody communicating with one another. And the biggest thing is we're all here to make sure that our players are on the same page to go succeed. And I think Coach Bowles has, the ability to move around and do the things that he needs to do because he wears a lot of different hats, that's for sure. But anything we can do to help him make that easier in that transition and, being able to stay on top of everything. So we just try to make sure communication-wise we're on the same page and saying the same language and being able to handle those situations as they come up.
What are your thoughts on some of the players in the secondary that got drafted with Benjamin Morrison and Jacob Parrish?
Yeah, we're excited about them. I mean, our scouting department did a great job identifying the traits and the type of people that we're looking for to join our culture. And we're just in the process of implementing those things now. I mean, they all have come in. They're good workers. They're paying attention to details. They're doing a good job of communication. But we still got a long way to go, and a lot of things are rear its head with the more experiences that they get as long as they're here.
George, the new structure kind of with the coaching staff on defense and having an extra voice, do you think that helps more during the week in prep, or does it help more on Sundays?
I think it kind of helps all the way around in both situations. I think during the week, there's a lot of things that go to when you start talking about situational football and then just trying to, what time's allotted to what and being able to trust one another to make sure that we get all those things covered with our players. And, again, it's going to come down to the communication, everybody being on the same page and executing what we need to get executed.
Is it, the corners and safeties meeting together? What's kind of more of the communication aspect?
I think that's a part of it. I mean, like I said, that's a big part of it, of us coming together and being on the same page and communicating at practice. We really think, so far we've had good communication with things we're trying to get accomplished. But as you know, as we get to the OTA part of it and they're able to go out and perform, I think it'll be, a lot more visible of where we're at. And, you go from OTAs, then you got a month off, then you go to training camp. So this is a long process, and we're just trying to take advantage of each and every day right now. And the guys have been locked in and doing a good job of focusing in the moment of what's going on today. So that's what we're pleased about. And we're, like I said, right now we're working on, calls, communications, alignments, assignments, what's going to happen here, understanding the situations that we're putting you in certain calls and those kind of things. So hopefully they'll react faster when we get to those situations and continue to improve.
One of the things that irked Coach Bowles and probably everybody on the staff was only 7 interceptions on the defense, 6 from the secondary last year. What can be done aside from getting more ball hawks, as Coach Bowles talked about? What can be done to improve that number and get that takeaway number total higher?
I think the big thing, and I think that's a big focus for us, is emphasizing. I think everybody understands those were the numbers from last year. Now, what are we going to do to improve? So the concentration and focus, I mean, we probably had about 8 that we had a chance. I mean, they were in our hands and didn't make it. And that's what it boils down to in this league. You got to make the interceptions and the turnovers when they come to you. You got to force the ball out of the offense's hands. You got to, take the ball away. That's the number one emphasis. So for us, it boils down to being in those situations And then, from a coaching aspect of it, all you can do is put them in those situations and then make sure the fundamental and the technique of catching a ball, looking it through, all of those things. Because we've had opportunities. We just didn't get them done. And it boils down to, in that moment, you've got to get them done.
If 7 is the number you don't want, is there a reasonable number for how many picks you'd like this defense to have in a season? Is it 15? Is it 20? Is it more?
I'd like to get about 15 or 20 a game, but, it's just a matter of when you're in that position to be able to make one, we've got to get that made. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. I mean, you're not going to have too many ops, but when we get the opportunity, we've got to get that made.
You have kind of the freedom now where you're not tethered to a specific position. Do you know, is there a room you're more likely to spend time in right now?
Well, right now I just kind of move between a couple different rooms. And right now we're in an evaluation process, especially with the young guys that just joined and making sure that they're all on the same page. But my job is to do whatever Coach Bowles needs me to do, whatever is going to, help him in this situation to make it easier for him. At the end of the day, that's all I'm trying to accomplish at the end of the day.
What has that been like for you? Because you have such a vast experience, like overseeing it all, and then, in this system, or I should say in this defense, you were more position specific, and now you're able to take a few steps back, and you're able to focus in on kind of the whole operation, or even, like you said, kind of duck your head into specific groups. What's that been like for you?
It's been great. I mean, like I said, the culture here between Jason and his staff and Coach Bowles that's been in place for a while is outstanding. So it's a lot of fun moving in and out between the players and being able to talk between them, and just again, making sure communication-wise we're all on the same page and trying to get, executed what we're all, because it's just like anything else. Good pass defense is going to require good pass rush. Good pass rush is going to be good coverage at the end of the day. So it all is encompassing. And that's the fun part about it, is just being able to move around and talk to different guys about certain things we're trying to get accomplished and making sure we're all on the same page.
That's the Buccaneers passing game coordinator talking about some work being done and some room for improvement and some things they'd like to see. Speaking at rookie minicamp, we should note tonight for all you NFL fans, whether it's of the Tampa Bay Bucks, the Miami Dolphins, the Jacksonville Jaguars, whoever it may be, tonight at 8 is the NFL schedule release, so something that fans often watch closely. That's going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus this morning. We'll be back around 12:30. We do anticipate that SpaceX launch of about a couple dozen satellites. We'll be back for that. Also, 1:30, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd holding a news conference as well. We'll have that ahead of Florida Live at 2 p.m.